The first goal that we have in mind is just taking him from who he is now and the conditioning that he has currently, and to basically get him to a nice little sexy look, right? Because he hasn't competed since 2015 was the last show you did.
Yes.
We were just kind of discussing this back and forth about getting him back in shape, and I was like, forget it, man. Let me help you do it.
My concern is with what I do and how I want to grow my business. I need mental clarity,
Right.
I need creativity, and I need energy to work longer than anybody that I know.
Through proper nutrition, we do gain mental clarity.
I have this, this trigger, that I'm feeling good, let's go more.
Right.
I'm feeling good with that 1 glass of wine, I'm feeling better with that 2 glass of wine. So, okay, let's do a bottle and a half.
Right, and have the ultimate longevity within ourselves, because we need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves.
This is how I break the cycle, put my foot down, accountability, nutrition, and have it transfer across from bodybuilding and physique to business and production value and big things.
And being able to do this so that it could apply to his current lifestyle and his current busy schedule that he has now. So you eventually do want to get back on stage and compete again.
Absolutely.
So a lot of these health issues that are completely controlled through our own actions, through our nutrition and our daily living, right? These are things that we can change. All right, let's get you looking right. So we set the goal. It's like, let's get you to 10%. 10%, you guys don't know, is still pretty lean.
Time is ticking. The years are going by faster and faster and faster, and do the biggest things, either fail big or win big, but do something big.
Right. Whew, okay, and action. What's up, guys? I am here with my man, Nick Del Toro, and so we just wanted to bring you guys something really special here today, because me and Nick, we have known each other since, for like 12 years now?
Yeah.
And when we basically met, we met whenever we were both competing in bodybuilding in MuscleMania circuit, the natural bodybuilding circuit back then. And that's kind of where we got acquainted with each other. I remember seeing him compete in Vegas. I believe it was in 2007 or 2008.
Damn, that's a long time ago.
And I just remember seeing, like, he had such a beautiful physique. And so he's been working with GAS, Better Bodies Destination, here for God knows how many years now.
Going on 6 years now.
6 years. And we've been doing content together back and forth. If you guys been watching some of the cool GAS videos that I've been putting on my channel and on the GAS channel, this is the guy right here. He's the one that's actually been filming everything. He's the mastermind.
And I'm not the mastermind. The one technique I had was letting the athletes take control. And when you highlight the person, that's when the brand, I think, can shine. So
all I know is he's a beast. So, but we've been discussing this back and forth over the last few months of like just getting him back in shape, because it was something that's just he's been inspired to do again, because he hasn't competed since 2015 was the last show you did.
Yes.
What did you place then?
That was Dave Gooden's NPC qualifier for the Team Universe. I was not in the best shape. I was still in heavyweight, so I placed second.
Yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't. I think there was only a second out of 5.
The shredder.
Yeah,
I was
the
there. I saw you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had just snapped my calf 2 weeks before, and there was some swelling.
Wow.
Still, but I'm making excuses. But yeah, that's when I competed.
I totally remember that, because I drove down to Austin to go watch that show.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I had another friend that was competing there. So that was the last time that Nick had competed. So anyways, like I mentioned, we were just kind of discussing this back and forth about getting him back in shape, and I was like, forget it, man. Let me help you do it. So that's kind of what we want to kind of bring to you guys today. And Nick has been a long time how do we say this? He's been a lifetime natural bodybuilder.
Yeah.
But what we want to do is just like really work on developing back the good positive habits that we can kind of reinforce, which is good nutrition, get a good sound training schedule back again, and being able to do this so that it could apply to his current lifestyle and his current busy schedule that he has now. Because I know that things are a lot crazier now than they were before.
Super crazy. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Right. So you eventually do want to get back on stage and compete again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like we just said before the cameras turned on, why the hell not? We're all going to die, so why the hell not? You said something that made it sound better.
Yeah. No, he was talking about like, because why do we need to be healthy? That's the true question that we need to ask ourselves, especially in the current time now with what's going on in this world with the whole COVID thing. And we notice a lot of the people that are highest mortality rate are those individuals that are, obviously obese, diabetic, hypertension. So a lot of these health issues that are completely controlled through our own actions, through our nutrition and our daily living, right? These are things that we can change. So this is one focus that we want to be able to make sure is that we are implementing things that are going to be in the healthiest manner and being our best selves in that way. So that's number one. So the first goal that we have in mind is just taking him from who he is now and the conditioning that he has currently, and to basically get him to a nice little sexy look, right? So, since we don't really know what's going on with the competition schedule today, it's like, all right, let's get you looking right.
There's this thing called side boob, and I've developed it, man. It's like especially when you sit on the toilet.
I would say, honestly, like you're about 25-ish or more.
So when we were in the room over there, he was saying I was 20. Stop looking at me.
I mean, I'm having to break it down.
Yeah, he's bringing raw with it. And then check this out. I don't know if you want to come over here. Dude, if I lean back, you see this shit?
Yeah. Oh man, dude, this is gonna be a beautiful transformation, bro.
Is that right?
Beautiful transformation. But you can see, like, turn back around it.
Yeah.
Like, you can see, like, how his lats, dude, he's like this powerful lats. Obviously, once we get rid of this right here, you're gonna see a lot change. But like, the beautiful thing is, like, the way we're gonna go about this is we're gonna be able to maintain all this muscle mass. So we have to go about it in a good, in a good slow manner. We can't really rush it, especially him being a natural athlete.
So we set the goal. It's like, let's get you to 10%. 10%, if you guys don't know, is still pretty lean. That's pretty much shredded without being shredded, without, shredded glutes. So that's kind of what we wanted to do. And then we'll eventually work into that competition thing, and allowing this to kind of, we're trying to reinforce essentially is seeing how being able to build these habits can help him with his daily living and building the business and so on.
Yeah. You mentioned a lot of health with the body, but my concern is with what I do and how I want to grow my business. I need mental clarity, I need creativity, and I need energy to work longer than anybody that I know.
Right.
And that all comes down to
and we're tying that together because
100%.
Through proper nutrition, we do gain mental clarity. I don't know if you guys know this, but it's like if you're able to take yourselves, like, especially if you just kind of just eat out of a whim, you have no control over your nutrition, you really don't know what you're doing essentially a lot of times, which most people do. Your typical, no, I'm not gonna say American,
impulse eater. What do I feel? What am I craving?
Right.
Yeah. And
a lot of times, if most people don't put two and two together. They don't realize that when they're in a bad mood or when they're tired, they're feeling exhausted. A lot of it has to do with what we're consuming day in and day out. So that's one of the things that we want to really be able to focus on solely, so that there is that, bringing that correlation between the two and being able to maximize the both.
So when we talking about doing this collaboration, and getting it going, and then like, what do you want to say? Why do you want to say that? I'm recognizing, like, stuff's happening in my life where people are getting cancer, people are dying. This whole pandemic shut down the world, and it's like, okay, Nick, I started to realize myself that, Nick, you're mortal too. Exactly. Time is ticking. The years are going by faster and faster and faster, and honestly, I think an end goal for me is, like, I want to have the most fun, the most rocking life. Do the biggest things, either fail big or win big, but do something big.
Right.
Look back on your life and say, I fucking did it. So that was a big trigger for me to, obviously John, he offered. It's like, hey, you need some help, getting back on track. I'm like, I was of the mindset that was like, okay, Branch probably did himself, Johnny did himself. Why can't I do it myself? Am I mentally weak? It's like, but it's like, no. Then I was watching, Pat Bet David and these guys that say, if you don't utilize and leverage people's energies and expertise in certain things, you're never going to get to that furthest place that you can get to if you utilize people around you. So, hence this.
To fill that in, even the best of the best have coaches. The best of the best have mentors. So it's like with this, it's like I'm being able to give you that accountability, and then just give you the plan in place so that we can execute and we move forward. So it's like, doing the things that I know that I can do best to be able to help you get to the goal that you're looking to seek, because that takes away the hard part for you, right? So it's like, because like you said, sure, you could possibly do this yourself. I know you could do it yourself.
Yeah.
But it's like, why not allow someone to be able to take that part away so that you can be able to focus all your energy on the things that you want to be able to do, like, your daily work.
Right on.
So, and then that way the nutritional aspect is like, okay, I'm just turning it on. Okay, we have the plan, we follow the plan, we hit the check-ins every weekend, and we see what we need to do to be able to change from there if we need to make any changes. And it just makes things a lot easier. We need to optimize our life.
You can just work out, Joe. You good? Yeah. No, you're good, man. You can make noise as long as we don't have this going. You can be grunting and shit. You're good.
Yeah.
We got Joe Mackey in the house. Yeah. Yeah. But it's like, yeah, I utilize his expertise and leverage all of that so that I can get my body right, have my energy flowing, and then he was talking to me earlier off camera. It's like the competition is the total crown or the icing on the cake.
Right.
And then me growing my business and producing badass movies and stories is the end goal for my business. Did that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
So I want to do this, and then there's steps to be taken unless, or I'm just going to keep impulse eating, going on a whim, going this vicious cycle. This is how I break the cycle, put my foot down, accountability, nutrition, and have it transfer across from bodybuilding and physique to business and production value and, big things,
Because think about it, right? Let's say you lay down the plan, then weekend comes, friend asks you to come over. Hey, do we want to order some pizza? 9 times out of 10, you're going to be like, forget it. Let's order some pizza.
Yes.
And then you're going to eat the pizza.
That's what's happened.
It's going to throw you off, right?
Yeah.
And then where this, like, if, with us obviously working together, now it's like, again, that accountability factor. You're like, hey, no, my coach, we're here. It's not to say that we can't eat some pizza.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at least now there's a plan in place to where we can allow that, but we still work within that framework to where we're still reaching our goal at the end of the day.
So you're saying you can.
Absolutely.
But you have this plan to reflect back on. You can fit that in there, so it's not a no-no.
Exactly.
Yeah?
So that's one thing that I wanted to teach Nick, actually, because he's never actually went about things in a flexible manner.
All
so
or nothing.
for him, essentially, so this leads into what we're planning to do with his nutrition, at least for that aspect. So we're going to set in it where it's basically do this meal plan, meal by meal, on a daily living, Monday through Friday, and then on the weekends we'll allow for some flexibility. So I'm going to teach him how to do flexible dieting for the weekends. So we'll have the plan where we have the calories and macros and stuff set, and then from there he can allow that so where he can apply. If, like, let's say if he does want to add it, like, have a glass of wine or a couple slices of pizza, then we teach him how to do those things. And this is something that's brand new to him.
It is brand new to me, but you said we wanted to touch on background.
Oh yeah.
Like you mentioned it in the past, earlier in the interview, that I competed and everything, but my background is also, my mom says it, addictive personality.
Okay.
So it's not just one slice of pizza, 2 slices of pizza. I have this trigger, that I'm feeling good, let's go more.
Right.
I'm feeling good with that 1 glass of wine. I'm feeling better with that 2 glasses of wine. I'm feeling sexy and beautiful after 3. So okay, let's do a bottle and a half.
Right.
And it's like, I need. That's where I'm really missing the mark too.
Exactly.
So that's part of my background.
And I feel like that's a major key that we can be able to really help you guys that are watching this video, is showing that there is a level of balance that we can have in place. It's not to say, even though the majority, I want to say 95% of our nutrition on a daily basis should be really high quality, nutrient dense food. This is what's going to allow us to be able to create our best life and and have the ultimate longevity within ourselves, because we need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. There's nothing that replaces whole food nutrition. But we are human. We live in this world today where we have some vices in some senses, where we do have them, and we've built these things over time. Understanding, like, okay, if you want that piece of chocolate, then have the piece of chocolate, but just understand, like, here, let's, portion control. Just like with any average person, like an obese person, man, they're not going to be able to just go straight from eating all this junk to eating a completely clean diet.
Yeah, withdrawals, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
They can't just do it immediately. We have to be able to really, like, work their way into that, into, like, where we continue to develop those good habits. So I know that you eat clean most, a lot of times
during
anyways.
the week, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, but to be able to break away from that all or nothing mindset, that a lot of bodybuilders have. And that's the one thing that I feel like is a little bit negative when it comes to bodybuilding, is that there is that all or nothing mindset, and binging and these types of things do happen, and they happen often. So we have to be able to break away from that and be able to create the balance approach. And that's one thing that I do work with my clients a lot. And that's, like I said, that's the one aspect that I really wanted to bring to Nick, so that we can be able to do this and still, like I mentioned before, work towards the end goal and not stray away from it, because it is possible.
Yeah, having the balance in the nutrition, but also being able to essentially be a competitive bodybuilder again and not have it consume my life.
Right.
Because my life wants to be consumed with, I guess the big picture is essentially what is fun for me.
Exactly.
Because all of this is fun. I want to have more of it. You know what I mean? So
we need to still live.
Yeah, I want to live actually.
Yeah.
It's like the gym, I love it. The nutrition, I like to have a good time. Traveling and producing and creating, I can't live without. Yeah. I need to do that bigger and better, or I'm gonna spiritually die or something. I don't know.
Big time. Yeah, me too. You guys see, y'all see me traveling the world and doing different things. It's definitely a part of my life as well. But what were we talking about here?
So we need to have there's steps. You can't just wing nutrition. So I don't know if you want to talk about that. You can't just wing progression on training, right?
So the other thing with Nick's training over time, he's basically just been, there's nothing wrong with this, but he's just been training. He'll train 5-6 days a week, but it's just a matter of all right, what do I want to do today?
Yeah.
So if he wants to get back into bodybuilding, then we have to have a plan in place. We have to be able to essentially work through a little bit of progressive overload, and and be able to build upon each one of these lifts and get his physique back in order. So a couple of things that he was mentioning to me earlier was really rounding out the delts.
Delts has always been my weakness.
Yeah. Because if you see Nick when he's standing in place, the dude is wide. He has a very powerful presence with his physique, especially when you see him on stage. Seriously, guys, it's no joke. So one aspect, we want to be able to build the delts, get that Dave Gooden chest where it's nice and full and just round and lifted up. So we're gonna focus on that. Keep building his back up again. He's always had really, really good legs, but the one thing that I felt like he's lacked before was the conditioning.
Always,
so we're gonna bring all that, and through this, I'm telling you, man, we're gonna bring you the best freaking physique you've ever freaking seen on yourself, ever, hands down, dude.
That is also, I forgot about that. I've always wanted to have my best physique, and I was never really close about it.
Did you always coach yourself though?
Yeah, training. I got some nutrition advice from a couple of people. I was able to get really lean with Kirk Fontenot out of, and he just kind of instilled the basic understanding of calories in, calories out,
right?
And kind of suffering a little bit. But I was never really, really, really shredded. I think I got down to about maybe 7%.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
Yeah, because I've seen Nick compete, and that was the one aspect, like I said, that I felt like he was just lacking. But overall balance and everything has always been there. But that's one thing that is just, we're bringing the full package together. What we're going to start with his training is, again, we want to make sure that we're easing him back into this. So I mentioned to him, we'll start with 4 days a week. We'll do something a little bit different, so it's to be like an upper lower
recovery
split.
Was something I didn't take advantage of either. So that might be really good.
How many days a week did you train before?
When I was in it,
yeah.
There's a story behind it, but I was training about 7 days a week.
Wow.
6-7 days a week.
Yeah.
Because it's just it was my outlet. It's what I needed to do.
Right.
Which
there's nothing wrong with that. You can do it, but you have to be able to make sure that it's properly planned. Because if you overdo it, then of course you can only last so long. Your
diminished
body,
returns, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's one thing that I've learned over time, even for myself personally, is that whenever I do push that to that limit, then there's you're only going to say that you can only push it to this one level. And then after that, there's pretty much, you have to shut it down because your body can only handle so much.
All right. So for me, myself personally, I'm utilizing John here with his expertise and just being there. He's now my coach. I hate letting people down. So what are we doing for you guys? What is this series going to do for them?
Man, well, first of all, they're going to obviously see the journey itself. So they're going to be able to see what the whole plan, how we're implementing it, and what it's doing for you. Obviously, how we're seeing the transformation. Also, I think one thing is as well is whenever we do the check-ins and stuff, show them how you know, what it is that you're implementing on the weekends when we're being a bit more flexible.
Yeah.
You know, because the biggest thing is making sure that we're working with his lifestyle and his schedule.
I bought a GoPro just so I can have it in my pocket. It's like, okay, this is what I'm eating to implement the balance. This is what I'm doing to have a life. This is what I'm doing. I'm taking out something here so I can have this later.
Yep.
I thought that was kind of useful. So.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's funny because I do this with a lot of my clients.
Oh, yeah?
So that because, like, a lot of times when you work in a 9 to 5, you know, because he's over here at the office a lot, you know, it allows him to, you know, stay relatively, you know, consistent with the meals.
Yeah.
So it's like, if that's the way your lifestyle is, then this is the way we go about it. It makes it a lot easier. You take the thinking out of it because and we simplify everything as well. So, and then from there, again, you can plan this out, you know, and that's the thing, is to learn how to plan these things, you know, accordingly, so that when the weekend comes, you know, you understand exactly what you're going to get into. So it just, you know, the whole point is to make this efficient. Efficiency is the key, you know, so it's like the less energy it takes to be able to do this, the better. You know, the less thinking that it takes, the better.
Can apply that energy elsewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Plus, I just want to track this story.
I know.
Because, I mean, this is YouTube and content production has always been my form of journal entry.
Exactly.
So you look back and see what you did in life, you know. Because, I mean, yeah, you have your memory, but, you know, sometimes it's good to actually relive as in a virtual reality,
100%.
you know, medium as much as possible, and making, you know, life movies. This is my fucking life. So, hell yeah, I'm going to record myself.
You know, that's funny. That's actually why I started vlogging in the first place for YouTube. Was not for getting views or to make money or anything. It was just for me to be able to record and journal my life in a sense, and see, like, okay, Jonathan, man, you've been to Denmark here, you were in Thailand for this time, you went to Vietnam, Egypt, and so on.
Holy
you know,
shit.
like, it's just like, and then I can go back to my channel and freaking go watch these, and I mean, one day I might have some kids and I can show them, you know, like, check this out.
Yeah, the digital media is taking place of that coffee table book. What do you call it? Photo album.
Yeah, the photo album. Yeah, exactly.
Book.
It's true. But this is even better.
Yeah. So bringing it full circle, the end goal for me is to get down to 10%. I want to compete. Why not? You know, you have one life.
Right.
I want all of this energy and planning and progression to transfer to business.
Exactly.
And I need to make those steps to keep climbing and climbing and improving, because one day I won't have the energy. I'm going to, you know, mortality. You know, I won't have time.
I don't think so, man. I want it to be where we're 70, 75, 80 years old and we're still living our best life. Like Jack LaLanne, he was, 95 years old, and I mean, the dude was still living it up. You know, that's what we want.
Well, I mean, these steps will help you prolong.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So,
you know,
that's a good plan.
Why not?
So we have to go about it in a good, in a good slow manner. We can't really rush it, especially him being a natural athlete. So it's something we have to be really, really, really on top of, making sure, you know, he's getting his protein in. Yeah. He's like, I'm done.
So I definitely want to, get my protein in, but tell him again what I want to do. I want to get this back.
Yeah. So we're going to be building this. We're going to be building arms. I want to definitely really focus on his triceps.
Yeah.
And what we'll do is, like, this is going to come down to overall volume. So we'll essentially kind of start him off at 4 days a week, but he's still hitting things twice a week. And then from there, we'll progressively overload, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to build the lifts. We're going to build the amount of volume that he's taking in. And then, of course, through time, we'll include some deloads and stuff. But these are a lot of things that we'll show you guys along the way.
Deloads is something that, in part of the programming, that's something, and recovery is something that I've never worked with a professional on. So.
So it's like, it's important because you can only push your body for so long. You have to be able to come down and give your body some rest so that you can continue to push forward. So it's like you take that step back so you can take 3 steps forward again. So it's that you got to make sure that we have that mindset. And that's something that, like, whenever I was training with Joe, when I was preparing for my show this year, or at least anticipating for it, we were going hard. You know, so I was making sure that I was building my lifts. I was staying within an 8 to 10 rep range, and we were continually building. And then we got it to where it was like 5 weeks in, I felt like I hit a wall. So, and then we knew, okay, now is the time we're bringing it down to about 60, 70%, get a little bit more volume, just making sure we're focusing on squeezing and contracting, but we're not necessarily, you know, taxing everything else, taxing the joints, so that we can come back the following week and get back to it again. And it pays huge dividends, guys.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that we'll focus with this training. Obviously, you'll see nutrition is going to be very, very important. We'll talk to you about what his diet is going to be week in and week out. I want him to speak to you guys about, you know, some of the fun things that we will implement throughout the period, because it's going to be key, guys. The huge thing for us is to make sure, like he mentioned, is that we're still living throughout the whole process. Because what's it if we're just going to live like not a zombie, but like a robot?
Robot, yeah. Enjoy the process. Perfect
Absolutely.
the process.
That's it. We're perfecting the process. But now you guys see exactly what we're starting. And then, yeah, we're going to move from there.